Hello and welcome to episode 6 of the Gangrene Against the World podcast. I'm Allan Simon. We have reached the last preseason game of the 2025 preseason for the New York Jets as they host the defending Super Bowl champion Philadelphia Eagles at MetLife Stadium. It has been confirmed by both head coaches we will not see any starters on either side. So it's last chance for players fighting for roster spots to make a difference. There's a lot of positions up for grabs for the Jets. So we'll take a look into that as we preview Game 3 of the preseason. But before we get to that, the Jets made some news this week. The Jets traded for 2 defensive tackles. We said after the game against the Giants that all of the players that would maybe make the Jets think to not bring in a veteran or more depth on the defensive line did not step up. We saw that Phidarian Mathis already was released by the Jets. Rashad Weaver is placed on IR, season-ending IR, so they really needed to add more folks. And what do? They seem to have stolen away a great player from the Minnesota Vikings, Harrison Phillips, who is beloved in Minnesota. He was a player who the Vikings were looking to extend, and instead he gets traded for a late round pick and a 7th round pick swap. Phillips is going to be a player on this Jets team that Jets fans are going to love. He is tough. He makes big plays. He made big plays in the postseason for the Vikings. This is a great deal for the Jets. And Darren Muji really has impressed so far. I think his draft picks have looked pretty good. And talk about trades, this one's seems to be a great one. We're going to plug in Phillips as the second defensive tackle. He's going to play next to Quinnen Williams. This is a guy who steps in and will become a leader. He'll step in and be one of the better defensive players on this team. So it was a great deal for the Jets. They also made another trade to bring in a defensive lineman. That's Jawan Briggs, the 2024 draft pick from the Browns. So he's going to make this team, and he'll add to the depth. So what that means is that the defensive lineman that had every opportunity to make this team, we said Mathis was released. It seems like Nandi is not going to make this team now. Peyton Page is going to have to really battle. He's been a nice story in camp, but is he going to be able to make it onto this roster? Overall, it's a disappointment for some of the guys who were trying to step in. It also means that someone like Jay Tufele is not going to get as many reps. He had a great opening week against the Packers, but he just hasn't made enough plays. And, every so often you put him in for 15, 20 snaps and he might pop off and get a fumble recovery or get into the backfield and create a sack. And that's great for a depth guy, but he clearly did not make the Jets feel like he is a true defensive tackle number 2. Leonard Taylor is also someone now who's going to be fighting for playing time. He's still a nice prospect, but you love to see what the Jets have done here. They took their weakest part of their defense and they bolstered it as we head into, the last week of the preseason. So the other important things to look for in this preseason game, because there won't be any starters, it's going to be who's going to win the quarterback battle. Not for first string and not for second string for the season, but who's going to be the third string quarterback, which could mean they'd be elevated to be the backup week 1 if Tyrod Taylor, who's coming off of knee surgery, is not fully healthy. And if you look at the stats between Brady Cook, the undrafted free agent out of Missouri, and Adrian Martinez, who's been on this team now for another year, he came from the UFL, came from Kansas State. The stats in the preseason say that Brady Cook has been more efficient and the numbers are maybe a little bit better. He has had a lot fewer opportunities to play than Martinez has, which makes me believe that Martinez has the edge in this competition. But also my eyes just tell me that Martinez is the guy who's ready to be a snap away from stepping into the game. His throws look sharper. He looks more athletic. Even some of Brady Cook's completed passes have been a little wobbly. There's not a ton of conviction behind them. They're not for a huge amount of yards. And Martinez has stepped into the pocket, made big throws. He's thrown the ball downfield. And if you look at the stats side by side, Martinez 23 of 37, a 62% clip for 266 yards. He's a little over 7 yards per attempt, has a touchdown, had that bad interception against the Giants where he's scrambling out to his right. He throws behind his body. and across the field, and it leads to interception. Something you can't do if you're going to be the backup. You have to come in and play a clean game. He just passes the eye test more than Brady Cook. Cook so far, 12 of 19, 63% passing, so a little bit more efficient. Basically the same amount of yards per attempt, has a touchdown with no picks. I am interested to see this play time split. Will it just be half and half? Will Martinez get the first half and start, and Brady Cook will get the second half, and whoever comes out looking better wins? That's going to be the premier focal point for this game for the Jets. It's also going to be interesting to see how do they mix up the wide receivers who are going to play for each quarterback. Is Arian Smith going to spend some time with both? Is he only going to play in the first half or the second half? Guys who we think are going to get cut, like Malachi Corley, who's fighting for his job that he's going to lose here, but that means he's fighting for an opportunity somewhere else. Where is he going to get his playing time? So a lot's going to ride on this because Taylor, he's a veteran. He doesn't need a lot of reps to get ready for the season. He likely can step in right now and be the backup behind Justin Fields. But when you have a running quarterback like Fields who's going to take hits, you have to feel like you have someone behind him who can step in at moment's notice, and you need to have someone you have confidence in. And Martinez has looked ready. I said this in the last podcast too. If you compare him to the third and fourth stringers we've seen on other teams, guys who are hardly completing any passes. I mean, look how bad our friend Zach Wilson has looked in Miami. Tim Boyle, who's a guy that got floated around to be brought back in after he was cut. Tim Boyle can never complete a pass. He does not look like he belongs in the league. Adrian Martinez looks like he belongs on a roster. So I hope he gets the edge. We'll see how Brady Cook does. I will like to see Juwan Briggs get some burn. Again, he's still a prospect who's going to make this team after the trade from the Browns. I don't think we'll see Harrison Phillips, although I would not mind seeing him get a few snaps as he meshes with the new team. But also what you're going to need is someone like Peyton Page. If he's going to steal a spot on this team, he needs to make some big plays in the backfield today. Other special teams, bottom of the roster positions to look for. Jamarcus Weston is a rookie who's really impressed. He's going to be one of the last guys to make the team. If he does make the team, his best bet is to keep showing flashes on special teams and being a gunner and being someone who can play multiple roles. So far, so good for him. Quantez Stiggers is another one. I think Stiggers is pretty locked into the cornerback role here, but I think he needs to continue to show that he's a viable option. He has an interception in the preseason. He is a Jets Twitter favorite, but he needs to continue to show that he can play not only on defense, but on special teams. In terms of the edge rushers, there seems to be some rumblings that now with Weaver being on the long-term IR, that maybe they'll get more depth. Will McDonald, Jermaine Johnson is still a nice 1 and 2, but Johnson, we're not sure exactly how healthy he is. We know how we feel about Michael Clemens, and Weston, who's a nice special teams player. I don't know if he's ready to get real snaps on the defensive line. So someone like Tyler Barron, will he have an opportunity to make some plays? I'm also looking forward to watching a little bit more of Malachi Moore. So again, Andre Cisco, Tony Adams, those are going to be the two starting safeties to start the year. We saw Cisco get burned against the Giants. That is going to happen. Malachi Moore played over 60 games at Alabama. He is a sure tackler. He is the guy I want playing next to Cisco for the majority of this season. So seeing guys like Malachi Moore and Isaiah Oliver and Jarius Monroe step in and play some meaningful minutes will be interesting to see. And then also a player who's on the bubble. We talked about Quantez Stiggers looking good and looking like he's solidified a spot. That cornerback room is really, really strong, maybe the strongest on the team outside of the running backs. There's a player in Jarek Bernard-Converse, and JBC has looked really good. He's made big plays in the preseason. He might be someone who gets cut, and if he is cut, he will not last on the practice squad for the Jets. Someone else will scoop him up. He has the skill set to play in this league. So he's someone who, with Weaver going down, do they keep 6 cornerbacks? That feels like it's very unlikely, but could he be one of the players that sneaks in at the end here by having another strong game? I've liked what I've seen from the offensive line as a whole this preseason, but now we won't have any of the starters go. Vera Tucker's already dominated Fashanu and Membu look good. We know that Simpson needs to get healthy. We need Josh Myers to start playing some meaningful minutes. So look for Xavier Newman and Max Mitchell and Okafor to play a lot. And lastly, we talked a little bit about the wide receivers. I want to see Jamal Pritchett returning some more kicks. It looks like Wong Wu is going to win the starting kick returner job, but it doesn't mean that Pritchett can't be returning punts and being in the mix. You have two returners back there with the new kickoff system, so that'd be a nice 1-2. And see how Tyler Johnson continues to look. Will Arian Smith be really aggressive in this game? And if there's ever a world where Allen Lazard is not on this team, it's going to have to come down to Brandon Smith or Quentin Skinner being undeniable in this game. Quentin Skinner's got great size. He has an amazing touchdown grab this preseason. Brandon Smith's had a lot of targets. I would so rather see one of those two guys on this team except for Allen Lazard. Can they get some good film run blocking to give them confidence that they don't need Lazard to be out there blocking on the outside? It seems like the main reason people talk about Lazard making this team and not being cut is, one, he does have a restructured contract, which helps, so he's less of a burden on the team financially, but also he's a good run blocker. It's all you hear. He's a premier run blocker as a wide receiver. I am not convinced that Allen Lazard is going to keep his head in the game where it really matters that he's blocking so well if he drops the ball a lot, if he's not a viable option for Justin Fields. You know, I want a speedster. I want an athletic guy who's running around when a play breaks down and get to a spot to make a play out of nothing. I think Brandon Smith and Quentin Skinner are much more viable. One of them needs to have a huge game to steal the slot away and make the Jets front office feel like it is okay if they let go of Allen Lazard. So a lot to look forward to in the preseason game against the Eagles. We do not have an Eagles guest today, but what we do want to do is just give a little breakdown of what to expect from the defending champs, and we will go ahead and break that down for you after we take a look at a famous moment in Jets-Eagles history.
Hurts facing a four-man rush over the middle. It's intercepted! Picked off by Tony Adams! Adams on the run! Breaking tackles! Tossed down inside the 10! We welcome those of you who are watching Arizona and the Rams on first down into the end zone. Breece Hall in for the touchdown, and the Jets take the lead. Wilson looking to the end zone. The two-point try is good. Randall Cobb gets up and flexes after the big hit.
Give it a fourth and manageable.
3rd and 10. Hurts checks it short. Devontae Smith tackled in bounds. It's 4th down. 4th and 8. They rush 3. Spying Hurts, who's airing it deep, looking for Devontae Smith, underthrown, broken up by Jordan Whitehead. The Jets defense delivers again. And the season is reborn for the New York Jets. Their first win against the Eagles in the history of the franchise.
Welcome back here to the Gangrene Against the World podcast. So let's take a look at the defending Super Bowl champion Philadelphia Eagles. Let's start at the very top. You know, I think Nick Sirianni is one of the doofiest coaches in all the NFL, but he clearly is a premier coach in this league right now. He's been to the Super Bowl twice. He's now the defending Super Bowl champion. What he does have, too, is a lot of great skill position players at his disposal, and that is no different this year. It all starts with Jalen Hurts. This is going to be his 3rd straight season with a new offensive coordinator because all their offensive coordinators keep getting better jobs because they get to coordinate above Jalen Hurts. So we'll see how he looks this year under a new regime. Another year of Saquon Barkley. Saquon Barkley's year 28 season. We know that 28 years old is when running backs really start to break down. If he can put up another huge season, you know, it'll just be more salt in the wound for the Giants. They also brought in A.J. Dillon, who's going to be his backup, so they've got someone who can really pound the rock in between the tackles, especially in goal line situations. Eagles also have a new right guard, most likely, in Tyler Steen. It looks like Steen's going to take over at the position after getting hurt last year. And they also have some other rookies to look for on the offense. Rookie wide receiver Darius Cooper. He'll be someone who will get a lot of burn on this offense behind the superstars they have at wide receiver. Also look for a lot of Will Shipley in this game against the Jets. He's someone who can get a lot of looks, both as a runner and a pass catcher behind Barkley. Another guy to look for is first-round pick Jihad Campbell, who is the first linebacker the Eagles have taken in the first round in over 40 years. And looks like he's really someone to keep an eye on this team. So we're heading into the last preseason game, Jets-Eagles, Friday night under the lights at MetLife Stadium. Then we'll know what the final 53-man roster is going to look like. My guess is the last time we'll be seeing the likes of a Xavier Gipson on this team. It's going to be important for some of the other lingering bottom of the roster players to have a big night and show that they should be making this team. It's fun that this preseason's had a lot of roster battles to it. It's fun to see a lot of young talent out there battling until the third game of the preseason to stake their claim to a roster spot. This has been episode 6 of the Gangrene Against the World podcast. I'm Allan Simon. We'll talk to you next week.